Hello there, Comic Clan, and welcome to Comics in the Cross, the greatest streamers you have never heard of. I, of course, am one of your hosts as always, Cross. Hey, Ads, thank you so much for that host, brother. I appreciate it. And of course, I'm joined by my colleague, Nitro, as always, who's up in this corner today.
How's it going?
And we are joined by pretty much a mainstay of the channel at this point. Is like he's been here so often. Mr. Louis Southard is with us again today.
Hello, it's me, Louis Southard, the most famous writer who ever lived.
Most famous writer who's ever lived that is willing to come on this podcast.
Yeah, right?
But we are so grateful to have Louis with us today, talking about his new book, Midnight Western Theatre, as well as getting to finally delve back into Villains Seeking Hero, which, if you were here for the first time we interviewed Louis, we got to delve right into that book. So we are so excited to have him back with us today. Louis, thank you for coming on the show. Absolutely appreciate it.
It's great to be back. It's always a pleasure to be here. I love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, we love having you on as well, man. We love getting you on, and like honestly, for anyone like who hasn't seen us and hasn't seen the conversations we had when he was on talking about Villain Seeking Hero, or when we did Umbrella Academy, when Lewis and I talked about that, we can tend to go off and ramble quite a bit when Lewis is on the show.
It's chaos.
Just a bit.
Like literally, as we were going live, I had to cut a conversation short because, like, guys, 10 seconds to go. We need to get, the show's literally about to go live.
Yeah, we were having a nice conversation about Doctor Doom, and you had interrupted for the show.
We need to do a rolling start one time where we're in the middle of a conversation and don't even introduce ourselves.
And just go. I'm thinking just not even like unmuting the mics, just like as we have the opening screen up of like stream starting soon, just like a pre-show, just us talking.
Yes.
That'd be good.
Awesome.
Just
a lot of people do something like that.
Yeah, like
Be good.
just randomly talking about stuff, because like we were going full into like stuff they're talking about future of the MCU, bringing Doctor Doom in with the Fantastic Four movie. We were going into all sorts of stuff today.
Forget that, because we're gonna go into news, right?
Forget that. We have got 2 hours, and I am determined we're going to talk about certain things today. We will hit these points today. If not, we'll just need to bring you back, Lewis. That's something that it is, you know.
Part 2.
Exactly. Just do a 2-parter. Why not? But everyone who's already here
we're in a
chat,
pandemic. I mean, what else am I gonna do, right?
hey, that's why we started this. Like literally, hey, the pandemic started. We're now quarantined. What to do?
Nothing else to do.
Perfect time to launch the podcast.
Fair enough.
Like literally end of March last year, we launched the podcast because of that. But thank you for everyone who's already in chat, who's here to join us for this conversation today. Locke, I see you throwing up some of the emotes in chat. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's exciting to finally get back into this. We have a couple of announcements to kind of kick us off. First of all, to shout out right above Nitro up there, is of course Gamer Grind Co.'s logo, our sponsor for the podcast, as always. Where did the link go? There it is. Check it out, Gamer Grind Co. Use the Comics and the Cross at checkout to save 5% on your order. You can get some amazing coffee. As well, if you want, you can get the Comics and the Cross coffee mug and sticker on their store as well. And I have reached out to them about the possibility of us getting our own coffee.
Nice.
So I am chasing them up on that. I'm determined this is going to happen.
What are you gonna call it?
I think I'm still sticking with the name Up and Away.
Oh, that's nice.
I think that's the name it has to be, because like there's nothing else comic book related that fits coffee as well as that I've came up with. So that's, if you guys have any ideas and you in chat have any ideas, by all means, I'm more than happy. But Up and Away is the front runner right now for when we finally do get our own coffee.
If I were to come up with some copy for a coffee title, I think I'd have to charge you. I don't know. I don't know. I that's very difficult.
Yeah.
So let's stick with Up and Away. It's classic, iconic.
We'll stick with Up and Away. Can't beat it. You know, back to the classic hero, Superman himself. So, big Vikes fan in the chat. I cannot speak. Saying you guys rock. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
No, you rock.
There you go, man. There you go.
No. You rock.
Positive affirmation from Comics and the Cross. Can't beat it. But yep. So we've got our sponsor there. Other big thing going to mention is, of course, heading into what is looking like it's probably going to be in April. We are in the middle of preparing for our 1-year anniversary 12-hour stream.
Yes,
we are, of course, still taking suggestions of what to do during that show. what looks like is going to happen is that Nitro and I are going to be once again doing our superhero square go, creating a 7-match card, squaring the greatest heroes and villains that we can come up with against each other. We are starting to build that card. We're getting close to it. If you do have channel points, there is a channel point redemption to book a match on the card. It will not go into this one because we're almost completed that one at this point, but it will put you on the list to book a match for the next one if you want to do that. So Chunk the Hut and Locksteady have already done that for this one, so their matches will be appearing on this upcoming card. And yeah, we've got some good ones coming up. Also, as part of that, we're looking to do an Avengers Endgame watch-along as part of it.
Yes.
Thanks to Disney Plus's now group watch setting. So if you have Disney Plus, you of course can watch along with us. And join in the conversation as we basically ramble through a 3-hour movie that, let's be honest, you've all seen at this point. So
Yeah, and if you haven't, I don't know what to tell you.
what have you done with your life? It's like, we've had a year of quarantine.
Why are you here?
It's like,
Did you guys see it in the movie theaters?
Yeah,
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
it a couple
I'm
times.
assuming-
oh
Did
yeah,
you
man.
see it like opening night?
I want to say I did, but I can't remember.
I don't think we've seen it opening night.
I know I at least saw it opening weekend. I know that.
Yeah.
I went opening night in New York City.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
wow.
That was chaos. That was the most amazing theater experience I ever had in my life.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just people. The final battle. It's like a concert. People are
Yeah.
just screaming and
Yeah.
shouting and standing. It
Dude,
was
it was awesome.
amazing.
It was like that in the theater that I went to. It was the most interactive theater experience that I've ever been a part
Right.
of, and it was so
Yeah.
awesome. I normally that irritates me. I'm like, shut up, please. I'm
No,
just
it's like-
trying to enjoy the movie, but it was awesome. It was awesome.
But that's it. I think like with Avengers Endgame, it was such like this is the end moment.
Yeah.
Excuse me, of like a 12-year build-up that all of us had experienced, so we were all feeling that emotion together.
Yeah.
Everyone was reacting with the exact same noises at the exact same moments. It was kind of crazy. I've never experienced a movie viewing
No.
like that in my life.
I may or may not have yelled multiple expletives out loud during the screening of that movie.
I can confirm that you did. I was sitting next to you at the time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was thinking maybe Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker would have a similar experience, but when I went, you could hear a pin drop, like completely. different.
Yeah, that was not the same experience.
Oh no,
Absolutely
not
not.
one bit.
It should have been, but it wasn't.
Nope.
Lock in the chat saying, comments across, remind me to send you a video that Small sent them, specifically about people who haven't seen it yet.
Oh no.
Okay, I need to see that video, Lock. Definitely send that to me. And Ad says, I dropped a suggestion for the card in Discord. Should I book it for the next one? I definitely got that one, Ads. If you want to guarantee it booked on the next card, you can go ahead and drop it with channel points. But honestly, we're considering it was a good one. If you guys want to see it yourself, it is in our Discord, which I'll drop the link for that. Ads actually suggested Hellboy versus Blade, which I thought would be an interesting team up to an interesting matchup to possibly have. So yeah, it's like, but with the Discord there, you can go into our Discord. I of course have done up our Discord for the Comic Clan quite a lot over the holidays. So I try to be active in there on a daily basis, talking about comics, about movies, about TV shows, about everyday life. Any announcements, any suggestions that we have, anything that happens is going to end up in that Discord. So if you're not following it, go ahead and hit that link. Locksteady saying, myself, Smalls, Lots of Silent Bob, Gravity Raven, and the way it all went to see both Infinity War and Endgame opening night. Imagine Novi, the biggest IMAX. Dude, that must have been nuts to see both of those like in this massive IMAX experience.
Infinity War opening night. Well, that was obviously complete opposite. Because
Yeah.
everybody died.
It was dead quiet.
Right.
Everybody just sat in their seats from the credit. They were like, "Holy crap!" What
The,
just
the
happened?
only time people freaked out, and I was one of them, was when Red Skull showed up.
Yeah.
Dude, that was awesome.
I was like, oh my god, he's back! Because I'm like, no way! Like, they were never going to bring him back. But they did.
Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah.
they did. Just like, even just for that moment, it was like,
Yes.
that's awesome. Just the fact that you've thought that through and like, hey, let's include him here. Like I was.
Yeah, you can't just leave that thread open from like
Right.
several movies ago.
Although I'm
Because
not.
it's-
I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely one of the people that want to see like the video of Captain America returning the stones,
Yeah.
so that he shows up there and all of a sudden Red Skull's just on the planet.
You want to use it as a segue for the news, because the news is that Chris Evans may be coming back.
That's a
Dude,
perfect
Heard
segue for
that.
it. Is that Chris Evans is coming back for a Marvel MCU project. There's no confirmation what it is. It is very unlikely that it's going to be another movie of his own or own TV show. But it's highly hinted at that it's probably going to be a property where he's going to make an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Any
I wouldn't be
ideas
surprised.
where we might see him?
Here you go, Nitro.
I have no clue, man. Because he said he wants to kind of do it like you said, like a Robert Downey Jr. popping into like Spider-Man 3. Like it wasn't his movie, but his presence was definitely felt. Obviously, I have no clue, man. I have no clue. Maybe I can see him being like as a mentor-ish type role to like the Young Avengers or something like that. But again, like it depends on like, or which timeline are we talking about? At like what point in time are we talking about? We don't know anything about what they're gonna do with timelines and alternate realities or anything like that. So I have no clue, man. No clue.
I've heard a couple good ideas. One is like what we were talking about. Maybe do like a Disney Plus series where he's returning the stones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get to see that whole adventure. Another one I heard was replace Samuel L. Jackson and have Steve Rogers be like the Commander Rogers, like post.
That'd be
Yes.
cool.
Post Siege, Dark Reign era, where he's like, the director of Shield, and you can have that way. You can even keep him as an old man, because he was like that too in the comics.
Yeah, because he did that in the comics, like old man Steve Rogers had lost like the super soldier serum and stuff. Like
Right.
that'd be
but
interesting to do that. Yeah.
My favorite is either in one of the properties where they're going into the multiverse, Hydra Cap, or just do Hydra Cap.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen some people
Robert.
posting about that. Like, is he going to come back as Hydra Cap? Which, honestly, I'd be all for. Like, I never got people freaking out at him becoming a Hydra agent.
Because it was always going to go back.
Yeah, they were never
Yeah.
going to keep him like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, but like, think about it. How cool a villain is that? Like, the greatest hero ever becomes the greatest villain.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone teaming up again is like a Nazi Hydra Captain America. Like, that was a great idea. I loved that because it just created so much dysfunction, especially since he was manipulating things by pretending to still be a hero. It's like, this is a great idea, and everyone freaked out. I'm like, what? Like, they're not going to keep him a Nazi. No, this is not disrespectful to his creators who were Jewish. This is an idea. This is we've had this character since World War II, and we need to do something new with him.
No, Cross. The character's going to be a Nazi forever, and you just got to deal with it, man. It's just how it is.
I just always think fan reaction just ruined the end of that series of Secret Empire. I really do, because Nick Spencer came out and said, we are not going to have it be there's just another Captain America who's a Nazi and the real one's going to come back. And then at the very end of Secret Empire, the real Captain America came back and overthrew Nazi Cap, and it's like, no. No, that's just going to make people mad because you said you weren't going to do that.
You know that was originally supposed to be Falcon Cap. They set
Yeah.
it all up. But no, the real Captain America comes out of the Cosmic Cube, and it's all okay now.
Yeah, because like they had like Falcon like in the Captain America gear. He was like back in his Captain America stuff. He was starting to raise everybody to fight Hydra Cap, and then it just, oh no, the real Captain America's back. You can go back to being Falcon now. You can go back to being Falcon now. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. See, I told you, tangents.
Right.
It happened, like, not even talking about the Chris Evans news at this point. We just went into Secret Empire there, so it happens. It happens. But yeah, so like, I think it could be interesting to see how he comes back. I think the TV show with him returning the stones is one a lot of people have talked about. I don't know if we'll get him back for like that long of a period. I think it probably will be more like the Robert Downey Jr. like appearing in someone else's movie. Whether that's as a mentor, whether that's another universe version, I don't know. It's just there's so many options because of how the world's just opening up in the MCU now. You know,
I have a feeling like any opinion that we come up with right now is drastically going to change at the end of this year based off what is revealed in the next 3 movies.
next 3 movies. Have you seen the amount of MCU stuff coming out this
Or
year?
in the next year of slate of
What is it, like
movies
like
coming out.
4 movies and like 4 TV shows or something, all like dropping this year, and I like the MCU is going to change by the time December comes.
Yes.
Dear Lord, there are 4 coming out this year.
Yeah.
Right? It's Eternals, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man.
Yep. All 4 are dropping this year, and then 4 Disney Plus shows are also dropping this year as well. Like 3 or 4 Disney Plus shows dropping this year.
It's Loki, Falcon, and Winter Soldier. Obviously, WandaVision. What's that? What If? Is that it? What If?
It might just be the 3 shows. I think What If might have been pushed back actually, so it might have been. So yeah, so like we've got like 4 movies and 3 shows. So there's 7 MCU properties coming out this year.
Speaking of Disney Plus shows, I heard some Moon Knight news. You wanna talk about
You're becoming a master of these segues, Lewis.
Oh man, that's fun.
All right,
I just want to make sure we don't lose too much control.
Control's gone at this point already. It's already gone.
just let it go.
Before we delve into Moon Knight, let me just catch up in chat. Locke is like spam in chat. Locke, give me a chance to catch up, bro. Those major moments in Endgame had the appropriate amount of freak out from the crowd. I loved it. Absolutely. Ross Marquand did an amazing job imitating Hugo Weaving's Red Skull too. Yeah, he did. To the point of like they were almost about to get sued. They were worried about getting sued because they thought he was imitating them too well. And there's that thing where you're not meant to imitate actors specifically. So yeah, he did an amazing job on that. This is the same story where the writers were like, "It's not a clone. He's not mind controlled. It's real, right?" Yeah, that's all. It's not a clone of him. He's not mind controlled. He's actually a Hydra agent now, and no, he's not. Apparently, it was old.
Just joking.
Magic cube. It's like everything blamed on the magic cube. Cap returning the stones could be a great opportunity to bring back the one shots they used to do. Yeah, I'd be up for more one shots. Absolutely, some of those were really good. Either What If or She-Hulk. Yeah, I don't think those are dropping this year. I think What If was pushed back, although I don't know why. It looks like it's mostly finished. She-Hulk, I don't think is even properly began production yet. If it is, it's still working on it as far as I know. That's it, Locke. Miss Marvel's meant to be dropping at the end of this year.
Yep.
They're talking about dropping Miss Marvel this year. Humor, how's it going, man? But yeah, let me do some shout-outs for some of the streamers that are in chat. But while we're doing that, yeah, let's jump into the Moon Knight news with Lewis's phenomenal segue into that news.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So we got the news end of last year, I think it was, that we're getting Oscar Isaacs playing Mark Spector, Moon Knight. And it was announced...
Jake Lockley.
And Jake Lockley.
And, well, what's the third one?
Oh, what is his name now? I can't even remember all the names of the characters. Like, I remember Mark Spector. It's usually me doing good.
Mark Spector's the main one.
Yeah, he's the main one.
Jake Lockley, is he the taxi cab driver or is he the millionaire? Forget it. Nobody cares.
Did you say Mr. Knight? That's one of them, right?
Isn't Mr. Knight? I don't know. There's too
many. That's like the one that is wearing like a suit, right? Yeah, and he works with detectives or whatnot.
Well, if you want to get really technical, there's also Spider-Man and Wolverine and Captain America, right?
So, all right. So, any idea on who, or any takes on who Ethan Hawke's playing?
Yeah, we may want to tell the people that Ethan Hawke's the person we're talking about first. We've not actually said that bit yet.
I thought we already mentioned it.
No, we got stuck at Mark Spector and we hit another tangent. So Ethan Hawke.
So, Ethan Hawke's been cast in the Moon Knight TV series. Can you believe that?
He's been cast as the main villain, and I was looking through some Moon Knight villains to see who I thought would be cool for Ethan Hawke to play who. Can maybe give us someone that's good off of Moon Knight and someone who's a little bit different. So I found a list actually of like somebody had done like a top 10 list of Moon Knight enemies. And I found a couple of interesting people on there that might be interesting to see, especially in a Disney Plus show, depending how they use them. The first one, I don't even think I've heard of this guy before. He's called The Profile. And he's literally a guy whose power is to profile people. Like, just by looking at them, it says his profile's power allows him to put a quick gaze on anybody and gain all prudent information about them. Information including it's not limited to their background, tendencies, characteristics, which means with a quick look he can figure you out and are able to decipher exactly how you would react to any given situation.
I don't think that's it.
I don't think that's it, but like I think that'd be a cool character to use in conjunction with someone, and it would also give a different element to like the Disney Plus stuff. Which if they keep doing what they're doing with like WandaVision and doing some different stuff with it, that could be an interesting. I think we're probably going to go bigger than that though. Another interesting one that I seen that I'd be up for because it just sounded kind of cool was Seth Falcon, if I'm saying his name right. As far as Moon Knight enemies go, Seth Falcon is one of the worst. Not only is he immortal, but he's also able to drain the life force from anyone who he touches. This means when he touches enemies, he has the opportunity to leave them as nothing but a skeleton. But the caveat to that is he can't do it to people he's related to, and him and Moon Knight are related to each other.
Okay.
So
can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a suggestion too.
I would like to see Black Spectre. If you're familiar with that one, who's like sort of the anti-Moon Knight. He was in Warren Ellis's run.
Yep, he was the next one on my list, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man, you're good. These are just a couple on the list I was pulling out, but yeah, Black Spectre is definitely one, but go for it, yeah. He's one of the big ones for Moon Knight.
I liked him a lot, or the newest incarnation, because I believe they're a couple. But in the Warren Ellis one, he's like a cop who's just sick and tired of like letting Moon Knight like get to do whatever. It's like, how come he gets to work with us? He's a vigilante. It's like, I'm special. Like I'm a cool guy. I can do things. I'm gonna. So I think I think in the book itself he Googles like Moon Knight villains or something. It's this Black Spectre guy disappeared, and I'll become the new Black Spectre, and I'll deal with Moon Knight. And he's like, hey, face me, Moon Knight, and then of course Moon Knight just beats the living heck out of him.
Absolutely.
And then that's how the story ends.
Yeah,
but maybe not that version. You could take some elements of that, but make like a whole, I guess, composite of some of the other ones.
Yeah, well, that's it. There's other ones, like there's the one that was like the Vietnam War veteran, I think was the original one that he returned home.
Oh,
no.
Never mind. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Bushman is definitely on the list as well. But yeah, it's like I think Black Spectre could be an interesting starting villain for him, just because it is the whole like facing a version of himself almost.
Right.
So I think he's
Dracula.
Oh, right. He owes him money.
Come on, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dracula owes him money, man.
I literally seen somebody posting a picture of that, of like Ethan Hawke done up looking like Dracula, of like he needs to get the big one for it, and I'm like, well, we're bringing Blade out soon, you know.
Blade and
Morbius.
Morbius. We're about to technically.
Yeah, but the MCU's about to get Blade, so we're definitely about to get vampires in the MCU. So why not just delve into Dracula with Moon Knight?
I don't think he ever fought Dracula in the comics. I think it's just
he just owed him money.
Yeah, he just owed him money. Well,
there you go. You've got an original story there.
Right. I don't know. Part of me has like a wild card idea. What if Ethan Hawke is playing Khonshu?
Ooh.
That'd be interesting.
Actually have him as... I suppose technically that fits as well of like the villain of... It's like, because technically Khonshu's not exactly a good,
Khonshu's
god.
A jerk. If you read any Moon Knight story, Khonshu's just like, I'm going to take away your powers, or it's like, I'm going to put you in this weird sort of ego trip and make you just feel worthless. And it's very manipulative. It's always like, I'm going to do something to you, and then you have to come crawling back to me and say how great it is to be Moon Knight.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every story, it's that.
Oh yeah, it's like that. That'd be a really interesting one, actually. Even if it's not Ethan Hawke, I'm definitely interested. Who the heck's going to play Khonshu now?
So Khonshu, Khonshu is the Egyptian god. Right?
Yeah, that's the Egyptian god.
Yeah. I don't know how the general public would feel about a straight white man playing an Egyptian god, unless they do it like a.
I say
metaphorically.
CGI because
not metaphorically. Oh yeah, that's right.
Because like in the book, he's like made out of bones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but most likely they're gonna have Oscar Isaac. He's probably gonna play Khonshu as well if they really because Khonshu is technically another part of the dissociative identity disorder.
I think that's something I'm really excited for the show, is to see Oscar Isaac, and like this is your chance to really stretch that acting muscle between playing himself, possibly playing Khonshu, and then all the personalities getting brought out. Like, this is going to be a real interesting thing to see Oscar Isaac. Like,
I gotta Google Moon Knight. I gotta figure out what that third personality was. This Stephen Grant.
Stephen Grant. There we go.
Stephen Grant.
I'm I had no idea. Like, I have very limited knowledge of Moon Knight stuff.
Ditto.
It's only like certain stuff I've looked into for him, so like, yeah, I was completely lost with that one. So for other possible villains, I had another two on my list. Number 2 on the list was Randall Spector. He is, of course, the brother of Mark Spector himself. Says, for some time, a murderer was known as the Hatchet Man, walked the streets murdering nurses. To get the Hatchet Man into revealing himself, Mark used his girlfriend Marlene as bait, trapped him, worked out that it was actually his brother. Randall's also gone by the name Shadow Knight. This, however, doesn't change the fact that Mark's brother, and it's precisely this that he can't even speak. This that makes him such a worthy opponent. And the image they've got of him, like, I don't know if this was his Hatchet Man thing or if he went to this after, but like, this guy looks freaky as. Just throw him up for the chat there. And then, of course, the major one, which
he does look freaky.
Would be obviously Bushman, who is like the big bad arch enemy for Moon Knight. I don't feel like that's who Ethan Hawke's going to be playing. As much as like it'd be cool to see Bushman.
Is Bushman black?
I think he's been
right now.
I think he's been white and he's been black. I believe.
I can't tell with the picture I'm looking at of Bushman, to be honest with you.
I think the original Bushman. I could be way off, but I believe he was white. Again, I could be wrong.
So there's Bushmen. There's two. There's two.
Bush's men.
Bush's men.
I really can't tell in any of these.
Yeah, the pictures.
No, I think he's black. No, he's black.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see one where he's black. Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt the MCU would.
No, they would not risk
conversion.
casting Ethan Hawke as the main villain for Moon Knight, who just happens to be black as well. That's not going to happen.
No.
But yeah, like legitimately, I couldn't tell in those pictures for most of them because there was so much shadow going on and darkness.
Yeah,
And I can't tell if his skin's just darker or if he's actually black in them until I've seen one of them. Wow, chat is just buzzing by today. Hey, Carson in chat. That did look badass. Yeah. So yeah, there's a ton of options, a ton of things available for Ethan Hawke to play. All we know at this point is he's going to be playing the main villain. So who do you guys think is the most likely?
I have no clue, man.
Can go any way because it's Moon Knight.
And it's such I think it's a lesser known property, so they can kind of do whatever they want, honestly.
Oh yeah,
That's true. Yeah, they can come up with their whole interpretation of a character.
Yeah.
Humor says Morbius won't be an MCU movie. It's a Sony property, but there are characters from Marvel / Sony movies that are going to be in it. Like, I think Vulture's going to be in it. Yeah, Michael Keaton's going to be in it, and I think somebody else. I can't remember, but it's going to be kind of a crossover.
They keep talking about it like that. It's like I feel like it's going to be more of an attempt to see if it's possible to work together.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't see it going well. Just because, literally the other day, I saw a thing for Morbius pop up in my newsfeed, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's right, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I literally forgot the movie existed.
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin Feige's too crazy for that situation.
No.
Oh, no. Well, he shot them down when they tried to do it with Venom. They tried to, when Venom was coming out, they tried to hint that Venom was part of the MCU, or it could be. In an interview, and Kevin Feige was sitting there and went, no, it's not. Literally cut her off, like whoever the person is that's in head of it, and went, no, it's not. And I'm like,
yeah,
you're not jumping on our coattails with our success here. It's like, no, you're screwing this stuff up all on your own.
Yeah. There is a Spider-Man poster in one of the Morbius trailers, but the funny thing is, I think it's Tobey Maguire. It's an image of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Yeah, which...
So they have literally no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, the Sony stuff is just a mess. They are desperately clutching at straws.
Yeah.
With the properties that they've got, which is just sad because they had Spider-Man and you screwed it up twice.
So Venom is one of my favorite characters, and I'll be super transparent. I don't think the movie was awful. The Venom movie, the one that they just did, but like they stripped out like almost everything that made him Venom, like how he was created. They stripped it almost all out. And I think I've seen some behind the scenes stuff for the next Venom, and like they're changing him a bit to make him closer to the comics, like with the symbol on his chest and all that stuff. I'm like, but you dropped the ball out of the gate though.
Is he getting the spider in the next one?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
But that's the thing as well, though. It's like none of that stuff makes sense without Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
agreed.
None of that stuff.
I agree.
Like,
Well, I always liked the drama of Peter having the symbiote in the first place because that would have been so cool to see in the MCU. Let's say like Tom Holland Spider-Man gets the symbiote, because I know in the original Spider-Man 3, it's like, oh, he's emo now and he's dancing like he's a cool guy. This is cool,
people.
Peter. Yeah, he beats his girlfriend. He's the coolest dude in the world. Like, but in the comics, it's just Peter gets more aggressive and distant from people.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like the symbiote feeds off his adrenaline, and it just keeps him sort of like at that level, and that's cool to see.
Yeah,
and I would have liked to see Tom Holland play that sort of just like amped up, like dour Peter Parker. But
yeah,
absolutely. I think my issue for the Venom movie was simply the fact of, like, even if you take out the Peter Parker stuff, even if you take out the Spider-Man stuff, and you just have Eddie Brock getting it, you have this amazing character to work with. Like, if anyone has ever read the comics and read the stuff that involves Eddie Brock, and the stuff that this guy has went through in his life, the stories that were created and formed round about him, he's like such an intriguing character.
Have you guys been reading the Donny Cates stuff?
I have not.
I've gotten bits and pieces of it. I've not been sticking to the full story, unfortunately. I really need to catch up in his Venom run.
It's fantastic.
But I've heard really a lot of good stuff about it, that he's done some amazing stuff with Venom, and it's like, even before it done, it was this amazing stuff and this amazing background to Brock, and then like he kind of like disappeared and, you know, teetered away, and no one really cared for a while, and then Donny Cates brought him back, and it's one of like the must reads from Marvel right now. And it's like Sony is just are too stupid just to tap into any of that. I like, this is perfect stories, you could do something amazing with them, and nope. No, we're gonna get Tom Hardy in this.
Lobsters. He's gonna eat lobsters in the middle of the restaurant. It's
yeah,
awesome.
raw while sitting in the fish tank, and
it's like, he's a loser, but don't worry, because the symbiote's also a loser, and they're gonna team up and they're gonna
be losers
fight.
Together.
They're gonna be losers together.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's a total loser. Like, when I look at that guy, that's the first thing I think looking at him as loser.
His girlfriend's gonna put on the symbiote, and then they're gonna make out while she's wearing the symbiote. It's gonna be rad, dude.
And then he's gonna fight somebody that looks exactly like him, except for a different mouth, and he can make axes.
Yeah, he's gonna fight someone that looks exactly like him, both with dark symbiotes on the darkest background ever, so I can't see the action.
They're gonna make symbiote love and just become this huge organism that you can't tell who's who.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, like. Yeah. You know, somebody paid money for that CGI, just saying.
It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I watched that movie on a plane. I was like, this is fine.
You know what? It's like, do you know what? It's a movie that I would literally see sitting on, like, you know, like in the grocery stores when they've got those crappy movies that are like clearly meant to just be action movies with no substance to it. Like, I'd pick it up as one of those. Like, it's enjoyable as that. As long as you go into it with a low expectation, it's an enjoyable, like, movie.
There was a movie that came out around the time, very similar premise, and an actor who looked almost exactly like Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Way better.
I love Upgrade.
Yeah,
it's such a good movie. Love Upgrade.
Because it's the AI taking over his body, and like, yeah, that's what you do. Like, that's a body horror thing where you just start like something else is just taking you over. That's neat.
Yeah, you literally could have done that with Venom and made that literally, if that was a symbiote instead of an AI, it'd be a much better Venom movie, like right off the bat.
Right.
But jumping to our next piece of news, since we are talking Venom, we did mention Spider-Man 3, the upcoming Spider-Man 3. The weirdest way to announce it and confirm it ever. Charlie Cox has officially wrapped filming on Spider-Man 3, which is also the first confirmation that we have actually had that he is officially in Spider-Man 3.
I think that's like the first confirmation that any of the rumored castings is like true.
Yeah, because like they've been rumored for a long time, all these different names, and they went, "Oh yeah, Charlie Cox has finished filming that," and I'm like, Do you want to announce that before you say he's done?
So we got a soft confirmation from Kevin Feige that I think all of those characters are going to be in the MCU in some way. Over this weekend. It wasn't like, obviously it wasn't confirmed and everything like that, but it's basically like, yeah, they're all on board, basically.
There's no way you do a She-Hulk show and not do She-Hulk versus Matt Murdock in court. Like,
oh yeah, exactly. You have to have him in there. You have to.
There's no way you do that.
You can't not have Vincent D'Onofrio in the MCU. You just can't.
That'd be so good.
That is
him versus Tom Holland would be, or him versus Miles Morales, whoever they choose.
Okay, we have literally had this conversation, Nitro. I am, as much as I love Daredevil and as much as I'm so excited for Charlie Cox to be in the MCU, the characters from that show being part of the MCU, the thing that excites me the most is Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
The possibility of him showing up and being Kingpin in the MCU. I'm like,
I agree.
There is no one that you could suggest to me that I would say, yeah, that's a better choice. There's not.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like
when they first announced Vincent D'Onofrio, I was like, what? Because I love him as an actor, but like when I saw him
from Men in Black.
Yeah, when I saw him in the first episode, and he freaking decimated that dude's head with the car door, I was like, dude, that is sick.
Yeah, that's Kingpin right there. It's kind of like
that quiet seething rage that you don't see. It's just below the surface, and it doesn't take much to,
They 100% need to bring him in for it, kind of like they did with like J.K. Simmons as Jameson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I can't see anyone else playing that role. You have to find a way to get him in, and I think from what I remember, he said he'd be up for it if they asked him.
Yeah, he's all about it, man.
He talks about it on Twitter like every day.
Yeah, it's like,
please.
It's like,
you know who I want to see back? I want to see the guy who played Bullseye, or at least get some follow to the Bullseye thing.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because like right at the end of season 3, there's this big thing of him, like he's now like officially Bullseye, and the show's done.
So I didn't get that. I know we're like super tangent, but I didn't get the very end of that show. Like, what were they doing with? Obviously, they were fixing his back, but like, what were they doing? Like, were they putting like
in the comics? He has, I think he has like an adamantium skeleton or something. Or he has like stuff in his body so he can feel less pain.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Yeah, so I think that's what they were kind of hinting at with it, was basically making a more comic accurate Bullseye in that sense.
Got it.
D'Onofrio was absolutely wonderful casting. Yeah, he was, Locke. Perfect. One of the most perfect bits of casting they've ever done.
But is Foggy Nelson coming back?
He better be. He was amazing. I think everybody was cast like pretty much perfect in that show. Like, I loved all the casting.
You know what's another Daredevil thing that never got follow up on? In the comics, his name is Gladiator, but he was the dude who made the suits for
Yeah.
In the background, in every season, you could see the Stiltman armor, and each season he would have more done with it. Like I think in season 1 it's just the legs, in season 2 and 3 it's just the torso. I'm like, oh come on, please, just.
But we never got a Stiltman.
Yeah, just have him keep, because in the comics, Frank Miller's run, Turk Barrett, who's the guy in all the Netflix shows who got beat up by everybody.
Yeah.
He becomes Stiltman for like one day. He's like, I got this armor, I'm gonna be unstoppable now, and then like Daredevil comes and just knocks him out, and then
that has to be a payoff. Like, that has to be a payoff in the MCU, that he comes back and he gets the Stiltman armor to try and like just to kind of like almost give him an arc of like he's became like, I'm an ultimate villain now, and just get wiped out immediately.
Dude, I'm actually looking that up right now, and I don't know how I've never noticed that in the back. It's so funny. The Stiltman armor.
I'd love to see that payoff.
I love Stiltman. If I could write a Marvel comic, it'd just be nothing but he would be like my Kite Man.
I was going to say that. Is that your Kite Man? Like for like what's his face, Tom King? Like, make Stiltman great again.
I'd say he never stopped being great.
Chat blown up basically agreeing that pretty much the casting for the Netflix stuff was amazing, except for Danny Rand, which was iffy. Yeah.
I never watched Iron Fist.
Dude, Iron Fist was awful. I'm sorry. There's no two ways about it. It was awful.
There is no point. Season 2 gets better. It doesn't mean it's good.
My only impression.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Louis.
Oh, thank you. But my only impression of him was in Defenders, and it's just him going, I am the immortal Iron Fist defender of Kunlun, you know, just repeating the same BS every single episode. I'm like, I don't like this guy.
Do you know the
my
best
thing
version
is,
of him? The best version of him is the one that appears in Luke Cage season 2. Like, there's an episode where he shows up, and you actually get like this banter between them.
yeah.
So, and it's very much like oh, we're going to do some Power Man and Iron Fist stuff, and it actually kind of works. The problem is he is not like that in the Defenders or the Iron Fist show at all. He is in no way like that.
My thing is, like, this is supposed to be one of the best martial artists in the MCU, and he supposedly like beat the brakes off of a dragon to get his power. Like, doesn't come across in the show. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Where's my dragon? I want to
Yeah.
see him fight a dragon.
Yeah. Not a
2
shadow.
seasons, and I saw glowing eyes in a cave. I want to see a dragon.
It'd be cool if he made like a cameo in Shang-Chi. That'd be kind of a neat thing.
That's literally the only way to salvage him that I'd be happy with him showing up, is like, because we're going into the martial arts and spiritual side of things. Like, yeah, I do not care for doing an Iron Fist thing ever again. You can let him go and run free.
Yes,
like,
please.
you ruined
I
it.
have no idea why. I liked Luke Cage season 1. I didn't watch season 2. But I don't know why they just didn't do Luke Cage season 1 and Iron Fist season 1. Defenders set them up as friends and then do Heroes for Hire.
I've been saying that for forever. Like, you literally have Luke, you've got Danny, you've got Misty Knight, and you had Colleen. Do a Heroes for Hire. Do a Heroes for Hire show. You literally got 4 of them that are the Heroes for Hire, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just do the show?
Too late.
So I don't know. Like Locksteady is saying that you have to recast if they bring him back to the MCU. I don't. All right, this might be a hot take, but I don't know if you have to recast. I just think you need better writing for him. I don't think he's a bad actor. I think you need better writing, and I think he needs to be trained better. Like,
I would say that the writing is horrible. Like, I mean, the whole first season of Iron Fist, you don't have pretty much any martial arts taking place.
Yeah.
But the
MCU. Oh.
I was just gonna say though, the writer is also the same guy that managed to bury the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Like, he's the same writer of the Inhumans show.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you've seen Inhumans, that tells you how bad Iron Fist is.
Yeah.
Right there.
I don't think the MCU would recast because they're a big fan of, like, if they can get the actor back, they'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the William Hurt for Thunderbolt Ross, like they brought him back from Incredible Hulk, and even Eli Roth, right, for She-Hulk, he's coming back.
Yeah, looking forward
Dude,
to
I'm
that.
so excited about that.
Could you imagine like Abomination like in a suit going to court, like and She-Hulk has to defend him, like, Your Honor, he's a soldier. He was fighting the Hulk.
I'm just so happy they brought Eli Roth back. He's such a good actor. He deserves to get another shot in the MCU. I'm so glad they cast him again.
You said the lead?
Oh, were you gonna say the leader?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What do you think they'll obviously have to bring him back in some aspect?
I want the leader. I love the leader.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite Marvel villains.
Yeah,
I
literally.
don't know a ton about him, but like they obviously set him up in a big way.
Yeah, literally, this dude turned into the leader
dude.
during Incredible Hulk and then just disappeared.
Have you guys read Immortal Hulk?
I have some issues, but I've never read it.
I've not read the Immortal Hulk run. I'm not a big reader of the Hulk stuff. I tend to stay away from it.
It's not even like a Hulk run. It's about like body horror and religion and the devil, and it's about everything else but the Hulk. It explores. It does explore like his dissociative identity disorder, like the Peter David perception of it, where it's like, oh yeah, they all live in his brain. Like you've got Gray Hulk or Mr. Fix-It, the Smart Hulk, Green Scar or King Hulk from Planet Hulk. Like they're all there and they're all in his brain. And then there's the Devil Hulk, and he's like the boss, and he's the one who takes over.
That sounds very interesting.
It's one of the most beautiful and one of the most like scary Marvel books out on the stands. But they have a whole issue dedicated because the whole premise is the Hulks plural, like all the people mutated by gamma radiation, none of them can die, and if they do die, they're immediately resurrected. So it's part of it's trying to figure out the mystery of that, and the leader is there's a whole issue dedicated to him basically trying to figure it out. I think it's called The Apotheosis of Samuel Stearns. and it goes through his entire history in Marvel Comics from like the 60s to now, of him figuring it out, the mystery. And he's like, oh well, I'll just, because I'm super smart, I'll build a machine and then go to hell and I'll steal the devil's powers and then go. He just does it, and then he becomes like this Cthulhu type monster, and it just gets nuts.
That actually sounds amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
It really does, actually.
Like I'm not a guy that's been a bit.
Reader.
Nah.
I'm not a Hulk reader. I couldn't care less about the Hulk, because most books it's just he's mad and then he kills everywhere. He beats this person up and it's hooray. But in that it's like, nah, let's get into it, and it's not what you expect at all from.
All right. I'm gonna need to check out Immortal Hulk then, because that's probably the most interesting a Hulk comic has ever sounded to me. Like, I think the last Hulk comic I properly got excited about was like World War Hulk and like Planet Hulk. So like I'm definitely up for checking out Immortal Hulk.
Peter David's old stuff is really interesting when he actually explored the idea of different Hulk personalities. So if you go back and read that, it's pretty cool.
I'll maybe go check that out.
If you read, I know this is like one of those like evergreen books you can read, but Future Imperfect's definitely a great place to read more vintage books. Which is the one where he fights the Maestro.
Oh yeah, the fight with Maestro.
Future version. That's pretty fun.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to push us forward a little bit, since we did have one last thing I wanted to quickly mention for the news before we jumped into talking about your books, and we're like an hour into the show. So, so the last thing is, we're talking about MCU. It's been all MCU stuff this week. Is that Kevin Feige did officially confirm that we are going to be getting a Deadpool 3. It is going to be a sequel to the first two movies. It's not going to be like a new movie. It's not going to be a recasting. It's Deadpool 3, and it is also going to be
rated R.
Rated R. Thank you. The words were in my head and just disappeared as soon as I went to speak. It's like it's a thing. It's a letter and stuff, you know. But yeah, it's going to be an R rating, which will officially make Deadpool 3 the first R-rated MCU movie. All the others have basically been like, you know, PG-13 sort of level of stuff. We've not really dove too deep, so this is going to be our first hard R. And if it's anything like the other Deadpool movies, it will be a hard R rating.
Yes. I'm really, really excited to see Ryan Reynolds interact with the people in the MCU. That's going to be really fun.
I know Taika Waititi said that one of the characters he wished he could have worked with for Thor Ragnarok was Deadpool.
Yeah.
So you never know if like that door's open, if like Deadpool can just start popping.
I would love to see him do something with Deadpool. I think that would be such a fun movie.
They worked together in the Green Lantern movie, right? Wasn't Taika Waititi in the Green Lantern? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's like
the nerdy best friend character to react to the awesomeness that was Green Lantern.
So he was
perfect CGI. That.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. I totally forgot.
You and everybody else.
I forgot Green Lantern was a thing, mind you, but you know. But I think this is the perfect idea for Deadpool, because Deadpool is literally the one character who you can drag over from the Fox properties and keep him exactly as he is.
And it makes sense.
Keep his continuity. He can reference that he's now at Disney. He can reference that he used to be in a different universe, and you can get away with it. Like,
what if they don't even like say that it was a different universe? I don't know. I always thought there was some weird kind of setup for maybe a crossover, because in the first Deadpool movie they literally fight on a helicarrier at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like
more or less actually. Yeah.
Well, it's like a meta reference where he's talking to Josh Brolin as Cable, and he references a Thanos Easter egg or something like. I forgot.
Yeah, I can't remember the line, but yeah, he references like Infinity War and stuff.
Thanos.
Does he really?
Yeah, it's like, shut up, Thanos.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I need to go back and check it out. But yeah, it was something like that. He references it. So, like, referencing that, like, I'd love him to see, like, a picture of Thanos and just look at it and think it's Cable or something. Or, like, you know, just something.
I love you in the Goonies.
Yeah, just something random. That'd be amazing.
When they do Deadpool 3, do you think they're going to keep, like, Colossus in that sort of group with the next forehead? Because that explores the X-Men. Right, so it's like,
see,
they gotta have the X-Men.
See, that's interesting, because like I think you can get away with somebody like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, because she's not that big a character name, But as soon as you bring over Colossus is like a mainstay of the X-Men.
Yeah.
He's like one of the names, one of the most noticeable characters. So as soon as you bring that in, that opens up a whole new world. So.
You know what I bet?
No, go ahead.
Sorry, but like I bet that the Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead are going to show up, and then Deadpool's like, "Oh, great, it's you two, and not the rest of the X-Men as per usual. What's the excuse as to why they're not here today?" It's like they haven't been cast yet. Like that's all you have to say.
Yeah, that would actually
be
that would actually be perfect.
That honest.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Actually, like that was honestly one of my favorite like meta references in Deadpool 2. I think is when he's going around the X Mansion. It's like these are the only X-Men they could afford. It's like one of my favorite references in that, and I'm like, so doing something like that would be perfect, and it would work so well for him.
Just carte blanche to make any joke he can at the company's expense.
Yeah, it's like because I think that's the thing. They know that bringing this over is a good idea because Deadpool is like literally printing money for them at this point. Like the first two movies were so popular, especially the first one. The first one, like the reaction to that, like you could only have dreamed of a superhero movie getting that sort of reaction when we were kids. It's like that's not a thing. Oh, Locke's got it. Locke says, he looks at Deadpool and says, "Zip it, Thanos." That's right. But yeah, so it's like I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see what they do with it. I'm excited to see Deadpool crossing over, to see him like talking with the Avengers, to talking with Spider-Man, to like a Spider-Man Deadpool thing. Like that's one of the big like friendships in the Marvel universe that they need to explore. Yeah. Or like, well, at least it's a big friendship for Deadpool anyway. Spider-Man kind of just puts up with him, obviously.
Isn't Deadpool like a huge like Spider-Man fanboy in the comics, or
he's a Captain America fanboy.
Oh
yeah, he's a huge Captain America fanboy, but he thinks like him and Spider-Man are like best friends. And like even just being able to make the jokes though of like somebody being able to look at Deadpool and go, "Hey, look, it's Spider-Man." It's like just to make simple jokes like that you get in the comics would be so fun. And like I'm all for it. Yeah, as that is sad though. It's like, but now we don't get to have Deadpool crossover with Wolverine, Hugh Jackman.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
Well,
Hugh Jackman's done.
Yeah, you know my thoughts of Hugh Jackman.
I know, but
like, need to move on.
Yeah, but like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, the fact the two of them are such good friends, the two of them bounce off each other all the time. I think they could have had a lot of fun doing a Deadpool Wolverine thing with that.
Yeah.
At least in a crossover, like that's
they did. It's called X-Men Origins Wolverine.
No.
The best movie ever.
No. No. We're not even going to talk about that. That is not a rabbit hole.
Probably the most comic accurate movie they've ever made, based on the comics, obviously.
We are not going down this rabbit hole, or this will be the whole podcast. Like, no, we're not. We're not doing this one.
I feel like we already had like 10 podcasts on this one movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
I take it you two aren't fans.
What, a Baraka pool? No, not really. Hey, look, he's got blades in his arms. Hey, look, he can shoot lasers out his eyes. His mouth's been sewn shut. Why not? And that's just the issues with Deadpool, let alone the rest of the movie.
He said cut their mics for that. That's hilarious.
Locke said he's like, there's no X-Men Origins movie. Like, what are you talking about? Alright, so we've hit the news. We're now over an hour mark. So we should probably actually get into talking to Louis about his... See, I told you, this was going to be a ranting podcast. This was going to happen today. I warned all of you.
Thanks a lot, Louis.
I'm sorry. I have a problem. I've been seeing people to figure it out, but I guess it's not working. I'm so sorry.
You get your money back. I'm just joking.
But yeah, we of course are here to talk with Louis Southard today, not just about, all the news and comic stuff that's going on in the world and our thoughts on X-Men Origins and other things. We're actually here to talk about some of his own comics, because he is in fact a comic book writer, for anyone who doesn't know. Louis has been on the show a couple of times. First time he was on, we got to talk about an amazing property of his, Villain Seeking Heroes. But we are now 2 months away from your next big book dropping, Midnight Western Theater.
You got it.
I'm
sorry for these 3-word titles.
And I do have to apologise, because I think I think when I first got you booked on to talk about this, I don't know how long, kept calling it Mystery Western Theater. Because I just kept thinking of like Mystery Science. Because I kept thinking Mystery Science Theater, so I kept saying Mystery Western Theater until I seen the cover one day and went, It's midnight. Have I been saying midnight or have I been saying mystery? I don't even know. So I may have been like pitching the wrong book and to everyone for a little while. So I apologize for that.
Well, if you were, I didn't catch it either. So.
Oh, my brain. I'm just worried that some book called Mystery Western. I see. Look, I can't even say it now. Anyway, let's. Okay, yeah. I wrote a book. I'm a writer. Hi, I'm Louis. I wrote Midnight Western Theater. The promo code is Jan211515. That's okay. Bam! I got my plug-in. But
So it was
yes,
Jan 211525.
yes, that's it. Yeah, okay. Let me
So I can
calm
put it
down.
in. So I put it in chat. It's like I'm a writer. I'm good with words. Me is. So Lewis. So let's start off first of all for anyone in chat who maybe doesn't know who you are, which let's be honest is not very few people because you're this amazing, famous, wonderful writer doing these amazing, wonderful things. Which I do have to say this time round, I do miss the fact that we don't have the whiteboard next to you, like pointing out just how famous a writer you are.
The whiteboard's right over here. It's just I didn't want to erase it because it has all my secret plans for all my projects.
Oh yeah, definitely don't do that.
No, I can't. I don't think I'm legally allowed to show anyone that. But yeah, I'm okay. Yes, I'm Louis Southard. I'm a comic book writer, as we all know. And I wrote a book coming from Scout Comics. It's coming this March. It is a Western unlike any you've ever seen before. A complaint from my editor is that it's too unique. It's called Midnight Western Theater. It's about two black-clad adventurers going throughout the Wild West of the 1860s, embarking on adventures where they fight the dastardly, the twisted, the dark. It goes into completely off the walls directions where they face foes you will not expect, and at the end of the day, will good triumph over evil? Well, you'll have to buy the book to figure that one out.
Absolutely, we're not giving everything away today.
Oh no.
Yeah, this will be a spoiler-free conversation.
This
FYI.
This is spoiler-free because issue 1 doesn't come out for 2 months, and if we do this, we're never going to get Lewis back because we've ruined the book.
Yeah, if you ruin the book and by that, like, ruin my career, I don't think I'd like to come back on.
That's fair, to be honest. That's very fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Lewis was good enough to send us a little bit of a preview of the books to check out for ourselves. So we're going to be talking a little bit about it, trying to ask him some questions, trying to delve into it. We do have some interest in the chat already. Ads saying from the first time you mentioned about not seeing Gothic Cowboys on the first podcast, I've been waiting for this.
Finally.
So last year when Lewis was on the show, he did mention that that he came up with the idea of Goth Cowboys and decided, is this a thing? If this is not a thing, if this isn't a thing, I need to get in on this.
I want it to be a thing.
Right.
I need to get in the ground floor.
As the legend goes, I was in a cafe, bored, and all the synapses in my brain just fired at once. And I just thought to myself, Goth Cowboys. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I ran home. I think I didn't run home. I speed walked home to my apartment where I was living at the time. And I just drew up the designs the same day of for the main characters, the woman in black and Alexander Wortham, the reluctant vampire. And I was like, there they are. And I messaged David Hahn, who is the penciler and inker of the book. And I sent him my designs. And I'm like, because I knew he had an affinity for alternative women, I'll say that much. From the issue he worked on for Villain Seeking Hero, it was one of the Documenter issues, which is a character in the book who's like a primordial elder goddess who looks like a goth girl. And I showed him the designs. I said, Goth Cowboys asked you in, and he's like, yep. And then we went from there. And let me talk about the creative team real quick. Yeah, there's David Hahn, who's did a fantastic job. He really knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah.
And there's Ryan Cody, who was such a complimentary force for David. He created such moody and very what's the word minimal coloring style
Yes,
to
it's awesome.
to go with David's line work, and it creates an amazing atmosphere. And then to wrap up the main creative team. There's Buddy Bodewin, who's my main long-staying letterer. You know, him and I have been working on all the projects together. So, and he did a good job, you know, coming up with some stylized lettering for everybody. So everyone was firing on all cylinders. We really, I'm really proud with what we did. Like as an art piece alone, I think the book is definitely on a new level.
Dude, the art is the art is
Yeah.
fantastic, man.
Just as we're talking a bit about the art, I'm going to throw up some pictures. I've taken some pictures off your social media that you had shared about the books,
Okay.
and stuff that isn't like anything spoilery, stuff that you yourself shared, just to give people a look at this, because this art is beautiful.
Like
Like-
it has texture.
Like
I
this
don't know how
art
to
is absolutely
explain it.
stunning, and the coloring is amazing. Like I literally, when I read the first issue, I thought back on it, and I literally had to think hard. Like, was that a black and white book, or was there color? Like, because it's
Yeah.
so
Right.
subtle and it creates such an atmosphere. It's
Mm-hmm.
done so beautifully. So I'm going to throw some stuff up. So, like,
I
first
think
up,
the best way to describe it is like a sepia tone book, something
Yes.
like that.
yeah, that's exactly what it's like. I mean, it's the artwork. Like,
My-
I've got the main characters up here for everyone to see: the woman in black and the reluctant vampire, Alexander. And it's just they're just so beautifully designed, and then the color scheme is so well done. Like the art really draws you in.
Yes.
I'm very proud of the whole creative team and just the art in this book alone. It's just it's one of those books that I'm like, oh, I was a part of this. Like, wow, you know, like this was very cool to see, and just to be able to work with these people was such a privilege, you know. And I spoke to someone where they were like, "Oh, you guys must have like talked back and forth trying to develop like a good style for this." And I'm like, "No, we just handed it off to one another, and the end product is that."
Yeah, I
But-
was curious to see what the creative process was like with this, as opposed to like previous projects that you'd worked on. You said it was pretty easy going though.
Oh yeah, no. David and Ryan would talk. Like he would share us the pages, and if David had any notes, he would give them to Ryan. But after a while, like I said, barely any back and forth. Once we established a style, it was easy going from there. But certain issues have uh, alternatives to the main style. I know issue 3, which told uh, it's someone telling a story. That's the
Mhm.
structure of issue 3. And if you pay attention, like the person telling the story and the story itself are completely not completely different, but
It's almost like a
coloring's
washed out.
different.
It's almost like a washed out version of it.
Yeah, the guy telling the story, it's the normal art style, and the story itself is almost like it's an old paper. It's
Yeah.
that sort of a sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And then issue 4, I did not share with you guys issue 4, but the vibe I got from issue 4, which was David get into it. Issue 4 is more like an EC Comics kind of style. Where
Nice.
It's got more pop arty vibes in certain places, but it's still maintaining the overall style of the book.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm
So
excited
there's
to see
some
that.
fun. There's some fun experimentation, but it's not so drastically different to the point where it doesn't blend in with the overall stylistic tone of the book.
Yeah, like the art style in it is just so cool, and it's done so well. Like, I mean, you've got an amazing art team on this. As I said, like between the art, the coloring, the lettering, it all looks phenomenal. And I do have to commend you on it as well, especially in issue 1. Like reading through issue 1, which is like the introduction to our characters, and we kind of talked about it beforehand. It's a very
It's a welcome to the world.
Yeah, it's a very light introduction. We don't delve
Yeah.
deep into stuff, but you also at the same time allow the art to tell a lot of the story. At least I felt anyway that there's less dialogue in it compared to like certain like this issue 2 and issue 3.
Mhm.
There seems to be a lot more dialogue, and I feel like you get more immersed in just the world and like feeling it.
Yeah.
And it honestly, it really helped. At least for me, anyway, it really helped me like, kind of feel like I was part of it. And like they go through the town and like they go into the bar, like in the old town and stuff like that. And I felt like I was sitting in the bar. Like you feel like you're part of that world. You know, you feel like you're
glad you feel
involved in
that.
it. You know, so like I commend you for that as well, because I've seen like comic writers who write paragraphs upon paragraphs of stuff, and there's this beautiful art that is like covered
Yeah.
by text
I,
boxes, and it's like I hate it because I'm like, no, if you've got that much writing, it's too much.
right.
You
Oh,
know?
I'm guilty. I don't know. With certain projects, I feel as though I could be guilty of maybe overwriting, because I am a fan of talkative characters. But with in this book, there is a talkative character, Alexander Wortham, who's the sidekick. But the protagonist, for me, writing was a neat challenge because Woman in Black, our main character, does not speak a lot, and when she does talk, it's often she says it's like saying a lot less, saying more while saying less, that sort of thing. And whenever she talks, is very to the point, straightforward. And I've never really had a character in my other book like that, especially with such a focus. Having a more stoic, more controlled character. I do prefer more neurotic characters, just kind of babbling on about what they don't like and how life is unfair. And there is that in this book too, but instead of everybody sort of being like that, it's just one character, and everybody else is more normal.
Dude, I love the personalities of the two protagonists. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
The writing is really funny. Like you've written these characters like it's like a perfect blend of like drama, and action and comedy. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's done so well. Like I said to you before, like my favorite character 100% is Alexander, like the reluctant vampire. And you get a little bit of it in issue 1, but in issue 2 he becomes so sarcastic and so sassy about the whole situation, and it plays off like so well with
I love issue 2.
Hortensia, the woman in black, and just how stoic and calm she is about everything.
Right.
And like because it's not even like he's worried or he's panicked or anything. He's just mouthing off about everything. He's just so sarcastic about the situation.
As I said before the show started, he's just done.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Even when the adventure hasn't even started, he's done. Like he doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, like
yeah.
like just even from the start of that one, because it starts off with them like standing outside a church, and he's like, I'm not going in there. Like you can just see his face. Like why? He's like, we're both thinking the exact same thing, aren't we? And it's like, and she says, yeah, we're going in. It's like, wait, what? It's like, no. It's like, no, I don't want to go in there. Why would I go in there?
Yeah, I think a good way to represent his character is in issue 1, where you hear him talking before you even see him. Like,
Yes.
his text bubbles just pop up. Like that's a great way to portray him. And sure enough, in issue 1, there are some folk who simply will not tolerate his sass. Yeah,
I love that, like the gang leader like mouthing off with him, and like he's just. It's funny because he's so sassy, but it's almost like he doesn't really have a clue what's going on. Like, why are you over here talking to me? Why are you getting up in my face? Just leave me alone.
What did I do? I think his exact line is like the gang leader says to him is like, "You're bothering us" or whatever. It's like, I'm bothering you. Like you're the one talking to me. Like,
Yeah.
What's going on? I will admit, with that character, I did have some inspiration behind. Like some inspiration was with the Spirit King from A Villain Seeking Hero.
Oh yeah.
Where there was like having a more pompous, more not up. I'd argue Spirit King is less uptight than Alexander, but just having a more talkative, more pompous character. But with Alexander, I toned it down. Spirit King's an 11, Alexander's like a 3. Just tone it down, make him more normal. And it's always my inclination behind Alexander was just like, how would I do in the Old West? And it's just like not good at all. It's just like
it would be awful.
I just like try to talk my way out of every situation, and I would fail horribly, and I wouldn't have the luxury of being a vampire to help me in those situations. I'd just be dead on the street. So just having him just there, it's very good. But I'd argue because as the two of you mentioned, they're a fairly odd duo. I mean, their personalities are like that far on the spectrum between one another. Um, and part of the story is also why are they even together?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you probably think like, why would this woman even want to hang out with this guy for a second?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's a mess. But
Yeah, I feel like you've introduced just enough to keep it mysterious, and like I want to know what happens and I want to know what's going on, because a lot of stuff is left unsaid, you know.
Yeah,
So
because we get like little flashbacks and stuff, obviously, to this little girl who we find out is the main character, which I don't think's a spoiler. I think you can pretty much surmise that from the very beginning. That this is a look of like how she became the way she was, and there's little hints in issue 1, you know, with that, and then it expands. But like, there's not enough to kind of fill that gap in yet, so there's still this mystery of how did she become
my
the way
friend,
she
you're
is.
gonna have to buy all 5 issues to get the full story.
That's it, and like, and even with that though, we get that kind of like inkling of her, but like once we get that little back story of her in issue 1, we then jump to like present day and then going into the town, and it's like, but we don't have a clue even about Alexander. Like, he's a reluctant vampire. I'm like, how did he become a vampire? What happened with that? How did he meet her? Like, there's all this mystery around it, and I do, like, I want to pick up the next issues. I want to pick up issue 4 and issue 5 and any more that you may be given the honor of writing. Like, I want to read it. I want to see their story and where this goes.
With that, I think with all 5 issues, you will get a full story. I'll say that much. I mean,
Awesome.
it's an episodic structure, and when I say that, for the listeners at home, when I say that, each issue is basically one story. You know, like, you can pick it up, you can read it, you can enjoy it, and then you throw it. It's that sort of thing. But if you read all 5, there is an overarching story. Like, each one opens with a flashback, as you mentioned, and the beginning of each book tells a story, and then it goes into the main story, and each main story is a little bit different, and it jumps through the different periods or different years in the 1860s. So one book will take place in, let's say, 1867. Next book is in 1864. Like, it jumps around, and with that, we have I say we, I mean me. Like, I just have a lot of liberty to jump around and play with the time, because it's just like, oh, I can write a story in this place, and this can take place then, and I can do this, but as a whole, it all works. Like, you read all 5 issues, you get the idea of the full story, and and all the questions are answered, but it's not really told in a very linear way either.
yeah,
Like I remember I described to somebody, like, the book ends and then it keeps going. Like, that's the sort of idea. Because I will say there's a point where I'm like, oh, this is the ending, and then there's another issue. You know what I mean? Like, it just keeps going, and
Yeah, so the adventure just continues for them, essentially.
right.
Like, we don't get to see it necessarily, but it's...
Oh, no. Like, I literally do mean that. Like, the book will reach to a point that you will feel like, oh, this book's over. And I say that because that was my literal letter's reaction. Like, I sent him, I'll just say it. I sent him issue 4, and it's like, oh, wow, great. Glad we could wrap this up. And I'm like, no, we have issue 5. It's like,
Wow.
How on earth do you have an issue 5? And then I sent him the issue 5, everything he needed for issue 5. And he's like, okay, no, that was the better ending. and that's the sort of thing.
Okay, I definitely need to see issues 4 and 5 now. I need to see this, like, fake out ending and the actual ending. I need to see those now.
It's very fun. And just with this whole book, it was supposed to, Midnight Western Theater was my back burner project. You know, because when I was originally coming up with it, I was working on Villain Seeking Hero. And Villain Seeking Hero is a story very continuity driven and very linear for the most part. Like, it's every detail matters, like what character's action matters. And while that's fun to make, because it is sort of like putting a puzzle together. It's a bit taxing because it's just like, oh, I have to make sure everything fits. Like continuity has to be airtight. But with Midnight Western Theater, I just wanted to write something more fun, something I wouldn't have to worry as much about. Which is why it's episodic in nature, and I think it for me, I consider that to just be a more fun book. Like you can just chill out and read it, and while there is greater stuff going on in the book, you can just enjoy it. Like it's nothing too taxing on you.
Oh, I would absolutely echo that, because like in having read it, it's a very, I don't want to say as if it's a bad thing, but it's a very simple, straightforward read. And it's definitely not as a knock against the book. It's an amazing book, but like I could sit down and you just like I went through like the first issue like that, and I'm like, is that it? Is that it done? Like you get so caught in the story, and then it's over. Like you can sit down and just enjoy the story and just read through it. There's no taxing this on it. There's no continuity, like you said, of this massive weight of I have to think of all this stuff while I'm reading it. It's like, no, it's an enjoyable story to just sit down and read and just relax with.
Right. What was I definitely wanted a less is more approach to this. Like I said, I just really wanted to separate it from Villain Seeking Hero. I just wanted a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, I'm still me at the end of the day. Like I like the idea that everything you read in a series matters. Like even if it's not at the forefront, I'm a guy who loves callbacks. Like I love it when an old character who popped up, let's say in one issue, comes back like 10 issues later, and I appreciate that sort of stuff. Or like when one adventure happened, like way down the line, you could acknowledge, yeah, this adventure happened, as opposed to just being like, oh no, we're just gonna ignore everything and just keep telling like a new story each issue. Like I'm not a big fan of that. So like there's continuity, but it's nothing where it's like, oh my god, I have to figure out the giant mystery of this. Or it's like, will this matter? Nah, like you read the whole story, you'll get it. Like, oh yeah, there's a history, but you're not going to be beating yourself over the head with like trying to figure everything out.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I think that actually helps Midnight Western Theater in a sense, just because of the style of the characters. I think the almost like looseness, like you're telling it in an episodic way, it honestly really helps to build that intrigue to the characters and build that like like everything does matter, but at the same time you can just, it's almost like we talked, that mystery that's in the air of like, where did these characters come from? How did we get to where we are? And all these different things. It actually really plays into a story like that, and I think you've done a great job with that. And
thank you.
It definitely feels different from Villains Seeking Heroes. They're both books I thoroughly enjoy. I love both of the books, but they are very different from each other.
Variety is the spice of life. that's all I gotta say. If Villain Seeking Hero is I don't know. Well, that's a very colorful book. It's very, I don't want to use the word loud, but when I think of those characters, I always think of them as somewhat in your face. Like they all have something going wrong, and they're gonna let you know what's wrong.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted Midnight Western Theater to be more relaxed, more chill, more atmospheric, and just be different, and just to prove to myself that I can make something different. And like I said, there's a little bit of crossover. You're gonna expect some classical Louisms, but it's a breath of fresh air compared to Villain Seeking Hero.
Definitely. I just want to jump over to the chat quickly because we had an interesting comment from Arielea. I don't even know how you properly say that name, but it's for anyone who's watched the show, it's Benita from the Co-op Trio podcast. You can scroll to the link I posted for them shouting out their channel. They're good friends of ours. And she said it's a nice change compared to linear storylines, and you can still look through episodic stories and still find niche details. I think it gives so much freedom. I personally like when you start in the middle and have established relationship and still get to see them grow. Very cool.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, it's like I said earlier. Like there's when it's already set up. Like the two of them are friends, and maybe even more. Who knows? But the two of them work together. But I reckoned earlier. Like why though? Like why would these two possibly be together? And I do answer that, but it's part of that fun when they're it's always fun to see after, like after everything's done, and then well, after always becomes like during, right? So when you have that, it just makes you wonder about before. And I know some people are like, well, I don't want all of my questions to be answered. I don't want to know how Han Solo got his last name. And you know what? I agree with you. Like I'm that type of guy. Like there's parts where you just want to let your imagination do the storytelling. You fill in the blanks yourself. I wholeheartedly agree. And there are things where I let the reader do that. I'm a big proponent of that. But if there's a story where I can answer it, I'll tell it like a good story. I think it's a good story. And I do that. Like there are going to be good payoffs, and I've said it before. Like you're gonna feel like it's a good, complete story. And another part of that was because Villain Seeking Hero got just got shafted. And like not to use such a vulgar expression, but it's such Villain Seeking Hero is a long story, and then it got cut off on a cliffhanger, and that really bugged me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make a story where I know it'll come out, and I know if that's it, people can read it and enjoy that and not worry about the next thing.
Yeah.
That was one of my main missions for this. However, if it does become an unbridled success, and it will, obviously.
Obviously, yeah, absolutely.
Obvious. Then I do have set up for sequels.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I
definitely love to see more of it continue. Like, because even if it's like different characters, it's just the same setting or whatever you do. Like, if it's in the same vein as this, I think I personally would love to see more of it.
Well, obviously, I have to keep it all in the same tone and setting and whatnot. But I think my gut tells me I have it all outlined, and it's entirely dependent on the reaction for when it comes out in 2 months. But it'll depend on what people want, because I have it's like a fork in the road. When I get the reaction, I'll figure out where to go with the story for a potential sequel. Because if people really I love the Woman in Black and Alexander going on adventures, then I have 5 more adventures for you ready to go.
Yeah.
But people just like the book, and they don't like it's not entirely dependent on this character dynamic. Then my main idea for a sequel, I also feel like I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, I'm going to give the fans what they want. I'm like, no, I'm just going to make what I want, and you're just which is normally how I go. But this is also a business, so sometimes you have to make decisions. If I got my way, if I get my way, volume 2 is going to be Hortensia Year 1. That sort of
okay.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That sort of thing, where you get to see her basically become just the beginnings of how she becomes like a monster hunter and an overall badass.
Yeah.
So that'll be that.
That'll be awesome.
This is not a segue in any stretch of the imagination, but I just wanted to say issue 2 was my favorite by far. There are some, without spoiling anything, there's some freaking hilarious happenings in that issue, and it's just awesome. I love that.
Well, like Cross said, it's just Alexander being a complete sass machine.
Yeah.
It just goes for. I felt I had to make up for it, because in issue 1, I don't know if it's not a spoiler if I just kind of be vague about it. Alexander's incapacitated for a large portion of the issue 1, so you kind of get to see who he is, but not really. So issue 2, I very much was like, okay, have these characters just interact with each other and build their relationship.
Yeah.
And he has some good moments. My editor, I remember he pointed out, am I allowed to swear on this?
We try not to, but we've not got the family friendly on, so technically you can.
I will abbreviate it. I think my editor, he just wrote me a whole email saying like, Alexander says like, "Oh, what sweet effery is this?" And and like when the big reveal of the villain of that issue appears, like
Yes.
my editor wrote me a whole note saying like, "I need you to change these things, but this thing you keep." Like this is the line.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And for anyone listening, like, yeah, pick up issue 2. The villain in that is worth the reveal. It's totally worth it.
Dude, again, I'm gonna try really hard not to spoil anything, but there's something at the beginning of issue 2. It's a transition from one page to the other page. Obviously, it's intentional, but it's one of the characters is talking about how you can look at someone like one look and like something's up, or you can read someone in one look, and then the very next panel is it's such a payoff of that. It's hilarious.
It's the I know what a good man looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it's like issue 2 is issue 1's a good hook to get you in of like, I want to see what happens from here. Issue 2 is the one that's completely sold me on the book though. Issue 2 is the one that sold me on Alexander. Just the whole issue is him not wanting to be there. Like everything that's going on, like, I don't want to be here. I want to leave.
Yeah. Even like his I don't want to go into.
Oh yeah, like his little umbrella.
Yeah, dude. That
Because he's a
that one
vampire,
touch-
so
that
it's
one
like
touch is hilarious.
so like a vampire walking out in the sun with his little like umbrella parasol thing over him.
Yeah, I love it.
I got a lot of mileage out of that umbrella in some of these issues.
Dude, it's
There's
awesome.
one good umbrella. There's another good umbrella joke in issue 5. I don't want to spoil it, but
Oh, definitely don't. I want to see when it comes out. Absolutely. But like, yeah, this is such a fun book. Honestly, I think that's a big thing I got from it. It's really enjoyable and fun.
Yeah.
Because like, when you told us about it when you were last in the show, it was like, it's Goth Cowboys. I'm like, I don't really know what to expect going in. Like you said, this isn't a genre, or at least it wasn't. So it's like, what's actually about to happen when I read this book? And it was just so fun.
my editor like called me when he sent me like an email, a text message, and a message on Instagram, and he's like, "I need you to call me," and I'm like, "Oh great, I'm in trouble." Like, what did I do? So I call him, and I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I've been sitting at my computer for an hour, and I've been trying to come up with a log line." And by that, I mean like in a lot of, I guess, pitches or advertisements, you'll see like this book or this thing is like this meets this, or like it's like like it's ET meets Star Wars, you know, that sort of vibe for when you're trying to describe another property. Like Breaking Bad, it's Flanders from Simpsons meets Scarface, like that sort of comparison.
Yeah.
Like, so this guy spent an hour at his computer trying to figure out what to compare this book to. He's like, I can't come up with a single thing. And he's like, I need your help. Like, let us try to come up with a log line. And I'm like, I don't know. And then we spent half an hour shooting ideas back and forth. At one point he said Wild Wild West, and I'm like, don't you dare compare my book to Wild Wild West.
I don't know if that's that's not a good comparison. No.
It's a Will Smith film that came out. It was originally an old show, but then it was remade into a Will Smith film. It's one of the worst films ever.
Giant robotic spiders.
Yes, the steampunk spider that was supposed to fight Superman.
Steampunk, that's it.
I literally can't help it. I watched that movie as a kid, and it's one of those movies I know how terrible it is, but it still gives me joy watching it. Like, I know it's awful, but I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, but
you don't want your book compared to it though.
Yeah, that's the thing I'll say to people. If you want something different, something you probably haven't seen before, that's this book.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be unlike any other comic that'll be on the stands at the time.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to describe it, to be honest. Is like I can't think of another comic out there from any publisher that's like, this is like that. I'm like,
yeah,
it's so unique. It's such a unique concept, but it's paid off. Like, honestly, like, as long as if all the issues hit the way the ones that you gave us do, like, it's going to pay off. It's such a good read.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
I'm gonna put the Louis Southard guarantee that by issue 5, you will be satisfied. You will be satisfied with how it ends.
All right, I'm going to come back to you with this video after read issue 5 if I'm not happy, Lewis.
Yeah, I'll get a DM from you like a couple months from now. Like, you hack fraud. You gave me the Louis Southard guarantee.
We're gonna put that quote in our intro video. I'm just gonna.
The Louis Southard guarantee, just to guarantee over the podcast, we're just going to literally clip it so it looks like you're talking about us.
Yeah.
The Louis Southard.
Oh my god.
Terrible.
But we're now about an hour 40, so I do want to transition over to talking a little bit about Villain Seeking Hero.
Hold on, let me just plug that again real quick, and then we'll go right into that.
Yep,
So,
go ahead. That's what I was going to say. If there's anything else you want to say, and anything you want to get out from Midnight Western Theatre or anything, by all means, go ahead. Throw it out there.
I just want to reiterate, Villain Seeking Hero, or no, Midnight Western Theatre. It will be out March 17th this year. You can pre-order it at your local comic book stores using code JAN211515. And pre-orders in this industry will tremendously help. So if you're interested by anything we've said so far, I highly recommend you check it out. I'm biased, but take it from Cross and Nitro. They seem to like it.
We do.
So,
And just to confirm, that was JAN211515.
Yep. That's Midwestern Theater from Scout Comics.
Alright, because I'm throwing stuff in chat just so that you can get it. So in chat, I've put that promo code in so you can go order from your local store. I've put in the website Comic Shop Locator. If you don't know where your local comic store is and you're not connected with them, that'll help you find one that is near you, because we're all about supporting a local store. Oh, yep, go for it.
There are online services. Like, if you just want to pre-order it online, you can Google the title of the book and multiple websites will pop up and you can pre-order the book. They could ship it to your house. We are in a pandemic, so if you wanna to stay home but get the book, then you could do that. I recommend I think it's Discount Comic Book Service.
Okay.
They have the pre-order, and I recommend Midtown Comics. They also have the pre-order. And I highly recommend them because I know they have pretty reliable and secure shipping. So
yeah, absolutely. So there you go. If you want to pick it up online, if you're still worried about going out there, we are still in the middle of the pandemic at the moment, then by all means you can do that. Also, links I've thrown in the chat is to scoutcomics.com, their website, as there is a whole bunch of Midnight Western Theatre merch that's available for this one. And it's like, yeah, like Hortensia and Alexander are all over all sorts of things.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, here we go. Pitching merch.
Uh-oh. It's about to happen. It's about to happen, folks.
What's your sponsor again? Gamer Grind Coffee Company?
Yeah, Gamer Grind Co.
Oh,
yeah.
What the heck?
You alright there? You hear me?
Oh, wait. Hello?
You hear us?
Back.
Yeah. You hear us okay?
Yeah, the headphones shut down.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good for the middle of a podcast. Awesome.
I'm so sorry, but that Gamer Grind Coffee Company, you could drink it out of your Midnight Western Theater mug.
Nice.
I actually not gonna lie, I want that mug. That's nice and big. I love big coffee mugs. That looks huge.
Has Hortensia, and then swivels over to Alexander with his umbrella on the side. So yeah, and there's also stickers. I don't have the stickers on me, and shirts. And my shirts are coming in soon. Okay,
I don't have them on the thing, but let me drag over. I've got the website pulled up, and I'll show them off that way. So there is t-shirts, there is stickers, there is the coffee mug, there's other stickers, just the logo. So yeah, there's a few things out. So this time around, we don't only have the comic, we actually have some merchandise on sale.
I'm a sellout. We have all
That's okay.
I was going to say, it's like, I do not blame you.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, no problem, Carson. Thank you all for today's podcast. We are not done yet. We're actually going to talk about some villain-seeking heroes now. If you tuned into our podcast about, I think it was like May last year that we had Lewis on, April or May.
Something like that.
We brought him on because there was this amazing new book dropping that I had seen advertised online, and I reached out to the author to see if he'd be willing to speak to us on it. I was drawn in by Villains Seeking Heroes because I'm a superhero nutter, and for some
the blood ritual, and now we're blood brothers for life.
Exactly. For some unbeknownst reason, he agreed to this and has basically not left since. He just keeps showing up now, and we're okay with that. Um, so yeah, but there's been a bit of a journey with Villain Seeking Heroes, and it's finally back out on the market. So
Oh yes.
why don't you take us through your epic journey?
Let's do this.
Yeah, my epic journey. Okay, once upon a time, there was a guy who figured, oh, I know what I'm gonna do with my life. I'm gonna make comic books, right? And then he made a comic. He sold it to a company, and then the company was going to publish it. But that guy, that idiot, he didn't take into account that the whole world would shut down due to a virus. Clearly, that should have been the thing he was looking out for right on top. That should have been number one.
Absolutely.
Like a fool.
How dare he? How dare he?
Like a fool, he didn't take into account that the whole comic book industry would shut down. um, and because of that, the book got delayed. And after a while, I was with a company. I'm not gonna say their name. Um, I was with a company it was a terrible experience, especially compared to working with comics now, Midnight Western Theater. It Comics is such a wonderful place to be working at. But before it was terrible, and I basically got fed up, and I had to argue for several months for me to get publishing rights back for the book. And last October, I got it back, and only just recently have I announced that Villain Seeking Hero, the greatest book you've never read, is back.
Stealing their tagline now.
Right, it's now on my Gumroad store for pre-order, and it's going to be coming out weekly. And I think I'm proud to say I have 18 weeks worth of content.
Nice.
So that's going to be an 18 continuous week-long journey into the world of Villain Seeking Hero. Yeah, I basically decided to self-publish because I just got fed up. Like I just got tired of talking with companies and trying to explain the book, because it's kind of difficult to just try to convey the idea to a corporation. Like, oh, this book is this, but it's also this, and it's also this. And then they're like, yeah, but how does that make me money? And it's like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't figure that part out. And I mentioned this earlier. I posted just like some of my favorite art, and I spoke to an acquaintance of mine about the book, and it just made me so nostalgic for it that I decided, you know what, I'm just going to release it. You know, if you want to do something right, do it yourself.
Yeah, and just for everyone knows, I've just shared in the chat there the link for gumroad.com to Louis Southard's page, where I believe the first 2 issues are up already. There's the third one up yet.
The first 2 are up for pre-order.
They're up for
issue
pre-order.
1 is coming out this Wednesday, the 20th.
Mhm.
And then issue 2 will be coming out the following Wednesday. And each time an issue comes out, the pre-order for the issue after the next will appear. So when issue 1 comes
Awesome.
out, then issue 3's pre-order will pop up. So I'm
Awesome.
gonna keep that going.
Awesome. So there you go.
Yeah,
You can go ahead and pre-order the first 2 issues and be ready for the third one this Wednesday.
Right. And doing this myself, I've been able to do things that I couldn't do before. For example, with Volume 1, it's going to include the never released issue 6, the original issue 6.
Nice.
That was not released by the former publisher. So I get to fit that in. So let's say you read Volume 1 before. Well, guess what? Here's a story you've not read before, and it takes place between sort of the main story arc and the second story arc. And then Volume 2 will release, and that will be 7, 8, and 9, which were the previously published issues from Volume 2. And then, following cliffhanger from Villain Seeking Hero, it will continue, and you will get to pay off for that story with issues 10, 11, and 12. And then we're going to just keep on going, and we're going to go into Volume 3, which I'm very excited about. Volume 3 is man of the people. uh, and that goes into a lot of good areas for that universe. There's a lot of payoffs that have been set up so far, and we really do get to world build a lot. So that's gonna be a fun experience.
Awesome. I was saying to you earlier, I'm saying to Nitro as well. Like, I am so excited that this comic's back. If for anyone who didn't watch the previous time Lewis was on, getting to speak about it, I'm a massive fan of Villain Seeking Hero. Like,
Cross, what's the book about?
what's the book about?
Yeah, tell me. Tell the listeners at home, what's the book about?
Okay, I'm getting put in the spot here. Okay. But the book Villain Seeking Hero is like, I would start off, it follows along with Master Molecule, the main character along the book. See, you're testing me now. It's been a while since I've read it. I've not bought it yet off a Gumroad. But it's following Master Molecule, who is basically a down in his luck supervillain who keeps being defeated.
Right.
And I forgot the name of the organization that he works for.
The Malevolence Collective of America.
The Malevolence Collective of America, which is basically like the big like supervillains club in America, and he gets pulled into his boss's office and gets told that you're going to need to be put in a team. And the only people that show up are Spirit King and Nightman. And what's the name of the team again? I forgot the name of the team.
The Frightening Five.
Frightening Five, that's it. Because like I know it's Frightening Five, and there's 3 of them.
Right.
And basically, it's following their journeys as he goes with his new team, Spirit King, who's obviously a king of the spirit world, who's a bit.
Or is he?
Or is he? We don't quite know. He might be, he might not. And then Nightman, this.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then Nightman, who's this nigh invincible behemoth that doesn't speak. That is.
Spirit King can talk to him.
But somehow Spirit King has conversations with this guy, and is like, you don't quite know if he is speaking to him or if he's just like making this up as he goes.
Yeah. So you want to pass the baton?
I'll pass the baton. I think I've done pretty well since it's been a while since I read the first few issues. I've done pretty good.
No, you did a fantastic job. Yes. So Volume 1 just follows the team forming, and something terrible happens, and they must face the greatest superheroes of this world in a bare knuckle drag out fight, and it goes from there. Volume 2, it goes into Master Molecule's I guess personal life. You get to meet his ex-best friend, the Skull Commander.
One of my favorite characters. I love Skull Commander. He's so funny.
Skull Commander is just like the creepy old guy dating a girl who's way too young for him, which he is in the book. And then that was the opening of Volume 2. I know that, but I don't want to spoil what happens because something big does happen. And then you get to see one side of Master Molecule's life, and then you get to see the other side. And then
yeah, definitely don't go too far into that because that was part of the big cliffhanger, which was which I've got to say was an amazing cliffhanger for it to end on, but it also desperately sucked as a reader that it just stopped there.
I know. I always feel bad about that because that issue so many people liked because they're like, wow, like I've never seen anything like that before. And it just stopped. And I'm like, oh, I hate that. Because I know myself, I hate cliffhangers too. So yeah, I thought that was such a real shame. But it's going to go beyond the cliffhanger. And then there's Volume 3. And Volume 3 is they're trying to make things work. That's the way I'm going to describe it. I'll say it's kind of, I kind of always split them up, at least now, into like 2 like halves. And I guess the first half is they go on a big mission for the Malevolence Collective, and depending on how they pull it off, it could change their status, if that makes sense. And then the second half is basically the spotlight is on Spirit King because something happens and he becomes like the main guy for a bit. And I'm not gonna say it's probably I'm gonna say it's not what you think. Something happens to him, and the focus is on him. But yeah, that I'm gonna say the volume titles. Volume 1 is called Everybody Hates Somebody. Volume 2 is Friends, Family, and Other Problems, and Volume 3 is Man of the People, because it's very much them interacting with a lot of other people and a lot of different groups in this world.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for these and for the next few months as it starts to come out on a weekly basis. Like, if you guys have not checked out Villain Seeking Heroes, like, you will thoroughly enjoy it. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
it's just a fun book. There's a lot of great stuff happens in it. You will fall in love with the characters. Same with Midnight Western Theater. The characters are the big thing that gripped me about it. Two phenomenal books, which not bad for back to back. Your first two comics, pretty much, Villain Seeking Heroes and Midnight Western Theater. I'm like, two pretty much slam dunks, two very enjoyable titles that I'm looking forward to seeing more from.
But they're different from one another. So like, if you want to have some stuff that's there's a variety to it, then you can do it. If you want one, go after the one. But if you want both, even better. And you know you're going to get something different from it. I'd say get Midnight Western Theater if you just want to relax, and then get Villain Seeking Hero if you want to just freak yourself out.
Yeah, I would highly recommend both books. I think both Nitro and I definitely put our stamps on it as worth checking out. These are amazing books, amazing series, and yeah, just thank you so much, Lewis, for not giving up on Villain Seeking Hero as well, and for fighting as hard to get the rights back and to get it out there, even if it's self-published. Like, thank you so much. It's awesome.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you
for wanting to read it.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on the show as well and just wanting to talk about them and just to share with our audience. It's like, so yeah, the links are all still in the chat there, guys. You can go check out your local store, check out the merch for Midnight Western Theater, as there's a good bit of merch out for that. And then obviously head over to Lewis's Gumroad's page where you can pre-order issues 1 and 2 of Villains Seeking Heroes.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
And
That's all she wrote.
Anything else you wanted to say on them before we kind of wrap up and bring it to a close? Any other stuff?
Do you want me to talk about the future projects I'm working on?
Yeah, if you can give a little hint. I didn't want to ask because I wasn't sure if you could talk anything about it, but if you want to give a little hint of what's to come, definitely.
I am allowed to talk about one. The first book, superheroes. Second book, westerns. They're supernatural western. Third book, sci-fi. We're going into space.
Nice.
And it's called Astroverse, and it's basically my love letter and also my hate letter to all things sci-fi. We go into we go into like Star Trek, Star Wars, like old B movies, Buck Rogers, that type of thing. Like, we'll get to play and muck around with all those types of tropes and characters, and that's just going to be like a mini series, sort of like Midnight Western. Not even like Midnight Western Theater, because I want Midnight Western Theater to continue. Astroverse is just going to be like a one and done. You know, you'll read it and that's it.
Nice.
But that's all I'm going to say about that.
Is there any hint of when Astroverse is coming out? Like, are we going to see anything like that? Nope.
No.
No worries.
But in terms of what I'm currently writing, I'm writing a noir book. That's good. And when I say book, I mean like a graphic novel. I want it to just be like a nice.
Really? Because your first book was so good, though.
The what?
The
novella. My romance novel.
I haven't forgotten about this. I'm never going to let you forget either.
Of course not. I'm writing a proper graphic novel, and it's going to be in the vein of, let's say, like, if you've ever read the Parker novels or Darwin Cook's adaptation of the Parker novels, it's going to be very, like, it's the Maltese Falcon meets Hunter S. Thompson meets counterculture of the 60s. It's going to be like a period piece of just a terrible private investigator just trying to solve a mystery he agreed to solve during a blackout. And that's
fair enough.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds awesome. I'm definitely up for checking that one out as well.
The working title for that one is called The Blackout Bombshell. So that's gonna be That's gonna be the next one.
I was going to say, you definitely like pushing yourself out there. We've done, like you said, superheroes, doing supernatural western, sci-fi, noir, time period piece.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you a Louis Southard secret?
Yeah.
For the most part, all my projects take place in the same universe. If you pay attention.
Oh, so we got a little connected universe kind of hint.
Yeah, it's probably an illegal. I don't think I'm legally allowed to do that, but it's just Easter eggs.
Oh, you.
Because
I'm gonna say
Southern
you're.
first.
It's like all I'm thinking in my head is like Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls are technically the same universe if you look at the right Easter eggs, but they can never technically cross over.
Right. Like, there's a character that pops up in one issue of Villain Seeking Hero, just like in a background thing, and then they're one of the protagonists for Astroverse, and like that's that. You know, it's that sort of thing. Of course, I'll tell you and all the cool cats here in the comic clan. I'll tell them that. But if any of you narc on me to any of the
I will shut you down.
I don't. Yeah. I don't think I'd like that too much.
Well, I don't think we'll have any issues of us keeping it quiet, the little group that we've got here, but definitely gonna keep an eye out for those Easter eggs now, though. That should be interesting. I'm gonna start looking more in depth at stuff now.
There's a character in issue 3 of Midnight Western Theater that is also in Villain Seeking Hero. So that's because I had an immortal character who popped up in one issue of Villain Seeking Hero, and I needed like a mystical character for Midnight Western Theater. I'm like, oh yeah, well I guess he'd be alive around that time, so I'll just shove him in.
Okay, I need to go back and look. I need to go back and look at Villain Seeking Hero now. I've not looked at it for a while. I need to go back and compare it now and see.
Yeah, but that's that. That's all I gotta say. I guess I'll plug myself, and we're gonna wrap it up.
No, but that's awesome. That's a good little tidbit to end on, actually. But again, thank you so much for coming on, Lewis. This has been an absolute blast as always. Thank you for everyone that hung around for our tangent before we actually started the interview.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, man. Anytime, you are more than welcome to come on by and talk with us, and we'll definitely have you on the show again. Throwing into the chat there, you can go ahead and follow Lewis on social media. I've got his Twitter account, his Instagram, his YouTube, and his own website.
Oh, right, yes. Louis Southard Industries.
It's like, you do have a website. It was on your page, so I just added it on for you. So you want to check out Louis Southard stuff, go ahead and check it out there. Also, as well, I will reshare the links for like comics. If I can remember how to spell. I do that. I type things really fast, and I forget how to spell things.
That's awful at spelling.
There we go. Alright, so yeah, there's a link there to find out local comic shops. As Lewis said, you can find them online. You can use the discount code for that. Also check out his Gumroad for Villain Seeking Heroes and get some merch at Scout Comics for Midnight Western Theatre, as he has merchandise for his comics now, which is very exciting.
If you know anybody who loves Goth Cowboys, then you know what to get them. Get him a mug, get him a t-shirt, get him a sticker.
Now, even better is like no one's into Goth Cowboys because it's not been a thing yet. This is it becoming a thing. So this is your opportunity to get people into being a fan of Goth Cowboys. Bombard them with merchandise to make them fans of it.
Just brainwash them.
You will like it.
There you go, Carson in the chat. Carson Lee saying he's followed you and he's wrote down Villain Seeking Heroes to go and check it out as well.
Thank you, Carson.
So yeah, thank you for popping in, Carson. Carson's been popping in the last few weeks. He's been good at coming by and saying hi to us, so thank you so much for popping in. So yeah, that's pretty much us for this week. Coming up from us this week as well, I do have my second Monday night crossplay taking place tomorrow night as I delve back into Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. As I become a person throwing about a lightsaber with absolutely no clue what I'm doing. So if you know how to play the game, please come and help. I died a lot.
I need your help.
If you like seeing someone show up on a random planet and die like 10 times over to basically a giant toad that I for some reason could not beat, that was pretty much how Monday night went last week for me. So come along and check it out. Also, we've got a special surprise for you coming up next weekend, as we've got 2 interviews taking place on a very special Comics in the Cross on Friday at 11 a.m. We're actually doing our podcast live on Twitch. Because we're speaking with someone who's in a very different time zone from us. He works pretty much constantly and is like 8 hours ahead of us. He's in Kuwait. So we had to get him whatever time we could possibly fit him in. So that's this Friday. We are going to be going live speaking to Ahmed Al-Amin, if I'm saying that correctly, the writer of the Epics of Enkidu, which is a sequel to like the first literary find of the Epics of Gilgamesh, which also features the main character who is written as autistic, which I got the opportunity to write a review on that for the Infinity Bros, our friends over there on their website, as I am a father of an autistic kid. So we're going to get the chance to sit down and talk with him about it and delve into it as he tries to raise some autism awareness. Then we're going to follow that up next Sunday at our usual time of 2 o'clock. We're speaking with Brandon Hollingsworth of Brainy Pixel about his upcoming comic Tenant's Tales and some of the other stuff that's going on over there. They've got a lot of media stuff, a lot of kids and young children stuff, as well as older kids and teens. And so we're going to be talking to him about what Brainy Pixel is up to. So we've got some big stuff coming up this week. So make sure you pop in and check us out for that. Share us on social media as well. Let me go ahead. If you're not following us on social media, you can definitely do that. Where's it? Online stuff. Also shout out as well for next month. We will be doing our indie comic book club where we are going to be talking about Chew. The Will Eisner Award winning comic, so we're going to be delving into that in our next comic book club, so definitely make sure you pop in and check that out. I think that's everything. I think I've actually covered everything pretty much for this week. Thank you so much for everyone that popped in.
Thanks again, Louis, for stopping in, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you. I had fun.
And let me go ahead and do a raid on one of our friends, Frostbite. He is streaming and he's finally got back from his 3 weeks of being stuck overseas, so I want to go ahead and give him a raid. So stick with us if you're here in the chat to go ahead and give Frostbite some love. We're going to go and drop him a raid. Give him a follow, give him some love from us, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
See you guys.
Take care.